Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Michael Becker, who's the CEO of Geosure. Now, what's Geosure? Well, we're going to tell you all about it, but it involves assessing the risk of going traveling in different places around the world. And it is a product that is out there now, and we're going to find out more about where you can access it. But it really involves of where your clients are going, and it can drill down to, nighttime in one city, daytime in another city, exactly what the risks of traveling are going there. And it really is a fascinating product, and you're going to find out about all that and more on Insider Travel Report. Now, Michael, first of all, how are you and where are you?
Thanks, James. I am well. I hope you are too. I am in Boulder.
Well, that must be a very safe destination out near the mountains. Here in New York, it's a little different, but I love Boulder. As we talked about on an earlier discussion. It's a great place. Now, tell us a little. Give us the brief, the elevator talk about what Geosure is, including when it was formed and what it does, and then we're going to drill down a little deeper.
Sure. Well, thanks again. Yeah, let me tell you. Love to tell you what we do and really why it matters. So Geosure is a data science risk modeling startup that has measured or quantified safety or risk across 7 vital categories that are relevant to travelers. And we've scaled that out over 65,000 cities and neighborhoods around globally. And why it matters, James, is that safety is a fundamental tenet. It's a core need of the human experience. As Maslow, part of the hierarchy of needs, understanding safety and having the confidence of knowing where you're going and what safety looks like can very much help improve the travel experience. And whether you're looking at safety through the prism of a individual solo female traveler, through LGBTQ, through a family, understanding what COVID looks like, understanding what political freedoms, and having a rapid ability to have that information, whether it's in the booking process, whether you're going out at night for dinner, and on and on. It's the platform is basically designed to increase confidence and have a better understanding at your fingertips, and to allow access, which we'll get into in a little bit, for anyone with a smartphone. So we founded Geosure in 2013 on the back of a cocktail napkin, and we've
as most companies do when they're
and our brand is now trusted by over 70 million people. So we were very happy about that.
Now, I guess I don't want to get too down into the mechanics of it, but what is the calculation of risk? How do you quantify all this to make sure you're getting this right? I mean, and also, I guess the second question is, how do you drill down to quantify risks even down to the neighborhood level? Sure. And even down to the time of day, and I guess what data you need to create this?
Sure, exactly. Well, again, as a risk modeling data startup, our whole core competency, if you will, is looking at data and then measuring it and analyzing it, and then applying statistical algorithms to determine a number, if you will. If you think about it holistically, it's pretty straightforward. We take I like to say convert information. What I mean by that is we take a lot of structured information from almost household name sources, the UN, the CDC, Interpol. We look at macro stats. We look at the number of quality healthcare facilities in a given neighborhood. Then we look at the vast trove of unstructured data. So we can look at foreign language newspapers. We can look at social media and extract anything that's relevant to our narrow safety lane or swimming lane of safety. And then what we do is we process that information, and we essentially convert that data into a number. And the platform has been developed on a spatial and a temporal basis. And what that means is simply that the scores are dynamic. They change over time and by location. And I can give you countless examples of what that means and why that matters.
Mhm. Now, let's talk a little bit, because you even drill down to, because that's from the data you get on destinations, but you're also looking at the travelers themselves, and you assess the risk to travelers based on their gender, age, race, and even sexuality. How does that work?
Yeah, exactly. So again, without going into a long Q&A and dissertation, risk or safety is a function of location and time and the individual who is the individual looking at safety, right? So what we've done is we've developed algorithms where users can enter pretty innocuous information: age, travel experience, gender, nationality, first language, second language, travel experience, and so on, and scores will be customized. We call that individualization. So it's we think that that's the future of travel, the ability to enter certain innocuous information and understand what safety really means to me.
Mm. Well, that's the thing, because obviously it really is traveler dependent. If you're I mean, I feel perfectly safe in certain neighborhoods at night, then I'm sure different people, older people, young women, whatever, would not feel as safe. And having grown up in New York, and New York, you always knew, but it was always like hearsay. Like,
right.
You shouldn't go in that neighborhood at this time. Right. And now what you're saying is, well, we can actually quantify that and tell you where to go or not to go.
Exactly. And James, regarding the quantification system or the measurement platform, because of that, we rate, score, quantify. I'm using these expressions synonymously. We can build a lot of cool things. So you mentioned nighttime safety. We've been able to create an algorithm that reflects safety at a hyperlocal location at nighttime. Now, that may not be as relevant for New York City is one of the safest cities and large cities in the world, but other cities such as a Lagos or African nation, there's a larger delta, if you will, a larger swing in safety, and so we can measure that. We can also do things such as individualization. We've created a whole bunch of other cool features around the safety or quantitative nature of the platform. So it's sort of like understanding if you're going to Ipanema, Rio de Janeiro, you're going to probably look at the weather, and having that rapid understanding enables you to make a better, faster decision. And safety is analogous to that. So we've given users this quick understanding of what it looks like, so that you're making the right decisions and creating a more confident experience.
No, that's great. Now here's the simplistic question that everybody's going to ask me. Like, okay, so for your data, tell us some of the safest destinations in the world today, and also what are some of the least safe destinations?
Sure.
And of course, that can change, obviously.
Well, it does, and in particular today's environment, it's very fluid. And between political instability around the world, COVID, of course, it's one of the most rapidly shifting environments we've ever seen, the ecosystem has ever seen. But there are locations, there are countries that are basically, I'll give you a couple of examples: Liechtenstein, Australia, New Zealand, American Samoa are some of the, and I'm assuming you're kind of thinking a health and medical sort of a COVID.
Well, health and medical and crime and everything else. And
right.
although two of the ones you just mentioned, we can't even get to. So, New Zealand and Australia right now, Liechtenstein I love, it's very small, but you're right. I mean, these are the ones that you can walk into and walk around. Not just health and safety, but safety in the sense of crime and political stability and things like that.
Sure.
Those are some of the ones, yeah.
And then some of the other countries are would not be unfamiliar to people from a leisure travel or even business travel respect. The Somalias of the world, Afghanistan, Pakistan, which have fragile political systems and underserved sort of health care facilities. Those are even more less safe, right? Even more dangerous than they would have been otherwise. So that's a couple.
Well, you get a country, and in fact, I just hear in this morning news that the American embassy in Istanbul is warning there may be terrorist attacks on Americans, and Turkey has always been a very popular destination for Americans when they can get there, right. Except when there's political instability or they have a terrorist attack of some kind. Now, they haven't had one in a while. They've had political instability in the sense that, we sort of shut it down for a while. Now, ironically, it's one of the few destinations Americans can go to. Right. So, and that's something where I guess that shifts over time about the view from all of the algorithms that you use, that whether Istanbul is safe or not safe.
Absolutely. And I think just a point on granularity or why hyperlocal is important, understanding risk or safety at the country level is interesting if you're comparing one country to the next, but to put one number on the US or Turkey or Germany or France is almost irrelevant. It becomes a little bit more powerful at the city level because that gives you much more context. But where it really becomes rich is understanding safety at the neighborhood level, because neighborhoods change. And I'll give you one example of that. San Francisco is one of my favorite cities in the world, but there's a difference between the Tenderloin district, for example, from a safety complexion respect, than an adjacent neighborhood across the street in Union Square, Russian Hill. And so that's what we reflect in having that understanding that variance. It can be very useful, powerful for the travel experience, whether you're in however you're traveling, again, as a female, family, LGBTQ, and so on.
Well, it's interesting because, the State Department has these warnings or travel advisories, they call them now. And one of the few countries that they kind of break down by region is Mexico. Right. And, Mexico always gets a travel warning on it because of crime. And then you realize Americans go to Mexico all the time, but it's not every single area. And so it's one of the few countries I know that the State Department breaks it down by different regions and states. And in your case, I guess that you could break it down even further and look at different municipalities. Is it okay to hang out in Acapulco at night in this region or in that one? Because these are all tourist zones. And I always tell, you don't want to go to Mexico, there's crime. Everybody makes that generalization. I said, there's no crime in Mexico any more than there is in certain cities in the United States. You just have to be smart about it and know where you're going.
Couldn't agree more. And again, that's why the hyper-local granularity makes sense. But we can score or rate discrete items as small as a fire hydrant on the corner of Broadway and 47th Street in Manhattan, but that's over granularity, right? Mm-hmm. But what does matter is a neighborhood and understanding where you're staying in a hotel or where you're going out for either points of interest or for dinner and so on. And it does matter. So you don't want to over granularize, but you certainly want to have a deeper understanding than a regional level. Especially in some of the large cities and areas.
Yeah. Now, how has COVID impacted your calculations? Is that now a factor that you're taking in, or are you looking at making it a factor in terms? Because now, essentially, even here in the U.S., they're going down to neighborhoods and everything else level to assess COVID infection levels. But I'm not sure if that's part of your calculations now because of this disease this year, or whether you're thinking about it in the future.
Well, it's a great question, James. We've been risk modeling health and med for 7 years and for decades prior to in another experience. And up until let's say January or February, people always looked at us as, oh, this is interesting. This is a quantification method. It's a real-time rapid understanding. We like women's safety. We like LGBTQ safety, which has never been done before. No one really talked to us much about health and med or political freedoms and other categories. And so health and med, to give you a little bit of a breakdown, so to help you understand it, the health and med category bakes in COVID at location. It reflects the water quality in Flint, Michigan, the air quality in Colorado, California, offshore Australia, east coast of Australia, and hundreds of other health signals. And we put that in one category or one number. So with COVID, we actually got ahead of the acceleration coming out of Wuhan. We changed our scores well ahead of because this is what we do. We're a risk modeling statistical data science firm, and increased our risk scores by an order of magnitude back in late February in 130 gateway cities coming out of Southeast Asia, and into the U.S. and in North America and so on. So anyway, that's what we do. So there's a forward-looking nature, predictive element to what we do, but the scores reflect the safety at location, including health and med and COVID.
Yeah,
yes.
No, that's interesting. So obviously you're taking that into account. Now, I guess the big question is, where is all this information available? I understand that you supply this to some pretty big players in the travel industry already. GDSs, travel insurance companies, large travel agencies. I know you're working a little bit with Valerie Wilson Travel,
yes.
Large travel management companies, and maybe you're working with some travel consortia. But where is this being distributed?
Absolutely, yeah. Our model is really B2B and B2B2C, and we work with some of the large actors, including SAP Concur and AIG and Amadeus and Valerie Wilson Travel, Deem, and a bunch of others. And that business model is really an API data subscription, but we've always wanted to make safety accessible, freely available. We talk a lot about democratizing safety for all. So we want to make safety free for anyone with a smartphone, and that we have mobile apps that are available in Play and in the store in the App Store. We for organizations that travel agents that want a co-branded experience, safety experience, we can provide that with COVID information and a whole bunch of other things. We also have premium apps that I'd love to talk a little bit about as well in a minute. And but it's freely available for anyone and easily accessible on an institutional level as well as on an individual level.
Well, that would have been my next question, because a lot of advisors are going to say, okay, fine, I can go. I work with Amadeus. I work with Valerie Wilson Travel. I work with a lot of these groups. But where can I actually go? I can get an app. You can
Absolutely.
get an app on Geosure. I assume is probably the same thing. And then you talk about that might even be free, right?
We believe that safety is a fundamental right for anyone. We will always have. We want to. Our whole mission in life is to improve safety, help people to participate and contribute to safety while they're traveling, even in their own neighborhoods, and we can measure that progress. That's the vision. That's really where we're going. But we always make safety freely available to anyone. Now we have created. I talked a little bit about how we can create cool, interesting features because of the Quant system. We do have features in a premium app that we've recently launched that is a paid-for tool. It's accessible in the App Store. It's an in-store app upgrade. We're able to create a monetization stream for agent networks. So, for example, if an agent network firm wants to have an enhanced safety experience for their customers, we can actually create a monetization. So I'll give you a quick example of that. 100,000 downloads would result in net revenue to the agent firm of a little over $1 million. So it's real money. There's
that's a big number.
It's 100% margin business. There's no cost. We've done all the development, and it's a great way to not only better serve your customer, your client, but help brand safety as an organization.
Now, I guess that goes to the question of what is your business model? I mean, how do you make money on this? Obviously, when you partner up with different larger firms and then maybe have some revenue from the premium level app, what is kind of your monetization of it?
Exactly. So if you think of us as, again, a data science firm that creates or produces scores. We produce data location safety scores. We call them GeoSafe scores. Over 65,000 locations times 7 times 2. So it's well, and that number keeps growing. So it's a little over 1 million data points that rapidly change. So we sell that data to large organizations for a variety of different use cases within travel, but also outside of travel. And that's a data subscription license. So it's a very simple model. You can think of it as safety as a service. Again, we talked a little bit about how we monetize mobile. But that's it. It's a pretty straightforward business model.
Now, up until now, would you say this has been more focused on sort of originally on business than leisure travelers? And is that changing? Are you kind of refocusing now more a little bit on leisure? And now that, maybe business travel is going to be curtailed for a little while longer than leisure?
Great question, James. Many of our partners are business geared, but our core strength really is the individual traveler, the individual user. We've always built the experience for that end user. So design, development, the UI, the UX has always been central. So while yes, business has been an important part, the leisure side has been essential, and that again, that's really our core strength. We think of us as sort of a black box of statistical algorithms that's created a really neat, intuitive, powerful UX for the end user. That's one of our key differentiators, and why we've been successful. So business, leisure, even whether you're traveling across country or across oceans or across town, the safety experience is there to help.
Now, would you say that now there's a topic I know you want to talk about is the concept of you call DEI, which is diversity, equality, and inclusion. Talk a little bit about how
Sure.
This is an important driver, especially for destinations post-pandemic, and exactly what DEI is in your view.
Absolutely. So DEI is an accelerating concept that's being embraced by all organizations. And especially in travel, destinations have an ability to attract through this embracing branding of DEI and bringing more travelers to their destinations and providing a safety layer or aspect to that. And that's, of course, what we do. DEI has always been important to us as an organization. We're working with large companies and destinations to bring really equality and safety and all demographics to those destinations. We see that as kind of the future of travel, if you will.
No, absolutely, because now we are these topics for sad case have beyond COVID this year. The big focus has been on once more on racial equality and all kinds of things. So that these are topics that are really trending now throughout the U.S. and throughout the world. I mean, who thought that we would see T-shirts for Black Lives Matter with Formula One racing? I mean, this is the kind of thing. And then on in soccer over in England.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Now let's talk also another concept that you're looking at is called your vision for what you call new duty of care and duty of self-care. And what are those terms meaning, and why are those themes among sort of relevant to the future of travel?
Well, thanks. We've always thought of the duty of care concept, which applies more to business travel and organizations, as why can't that expand into leisure travel? Why can't there be a duty of care for leisure travel? But let me step back to business for a moment. What we think about in terms of the new duty of care is greater features, more personalization, capabilities that have never been developed before. So here's an example. If you're a single female traveler, or you're a trans, Black, BIPOC individual who wants to search for a hotel and find the safe, or destination and find the safest, most embracing locations, or properties for my personal profile, your personal profile. That's kind of the future of duty of care, right? And you can also take that to the duty of self-care, which is having an experience where it helps me as a leisure traveler, but also in my everyday life. So it's bringing safety in an empowered, informed, engaged fashion closer to home. It doesn't really just apply to travel, and it applies beyond business to leisure and in my everyday my everyday life.
Well, certainly, and that's crucial to all travelers. Want to be safe and secure in the places they visit, and they want to, if they can have something that can tell them where they're traveling, where they're walking in, what neighborhood they are, because we all know, again, before all of what you've been doing the past few years, this was all rumor. This was all, you shouldn't go there, you should go there. You should. So now you actually have, critical information, even an app that can help your travelers out there, for all of our Travel Advisor viewers, really assess where they're going, and you can help them with that as well. So.
Absolutely, and it also extends to this notion of what I touched on before, is participating in contributing to safety, which is a good thing for everyone. It's a great thing for the ecosystem. It's a good thing for communities around the world, and enabling people to participate in their safety. So, and then measure that safety. That's a good thing, and so that's a huge opportunity that we see for the ecosystem and for the for travelers going forward. So it's expanding very rapidly.
Within this app, let's say the individual app, can I actually have input into where I'm going and sort of tell say, look, this place might not be as safe as you think it is?
That's exactly right. We have a feature, we call them experience reports, or sharing safety experience, SES, and it's an optional feature. We want to know if the experience is all good or not good, and if it's not good, why? And it takes literally about 2 seconds to enter this information. We take that back up through our API and is reflected out in updated scores. So you can imagine at scale, you can create this, what we call this culture of safety, this safety consciousness, if you will, and it helps people in their individual experiences. It helps communities, and again, we can measure that progress. So it's participating in safety, and the timing. I think it should be pretty apparent that the timing for this kind of capability can be better today.
No, absolutely. We are all really focused on this right now, if we weren't before, but you certainly have gotten new visibility on it in the past few months. Now, what else should travel advisors know about Geosure and what it provides?
Well, thanks. We make safety as accessible and easily available in the lightest lift ways possible. We have free mobile apps in the store. That helps from a branding respect. We have API data subscription. We have COVID iframes. We have a lot of tools that can be co-branded for the agent network. We have premium apps. Should the agent firm want to monetize that, and we're seeing a lot of interest there where people want an enhanced safety experience today and going forward. That can be very profitable. And if anyone ever has any questions, they can contact me directly. It's Geosure in the App Store and Play. Follow us on LinkedIn, across social. Our website is geosureglobal.com. And this has just been a great opportunity. The agent network is extremely important to us, and we believe that leisure has a very a future that it will be a very rapid and accelerating growth opportunity for all of us.
Well, Michael, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk about it. It's a challenging topic, and I'm glad you didn't get deep into the algorithms because you would have lost me there. But
we can do that another time.
We can do that in interview part 2. There you go. We'll go there. We'll have a real seminar on that. But it's a fascinating way to look at risk and a way to assess risk for travelers now, both business and leisure. And again, I think this is incredibly useful product, a useful data source. And again, it's very hot right now, given all that we're experiencing between everything that's gone on in the last few months. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you so much, James. Safe travels.
Safe travels is exactly it. I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.